Hey guys, this is the Lenovo ThinkPad X12 Detachable. It's the same form factor as a Surface Pro, so if you're familiar with that, or if you're not, I guess it doesn't matter because here we are. Now, this is a magnesium alloy chassis. It feels really good. It is not a fingerprint magnet by any stretch, and that's really awesome. If you're used to black or matte black devices being fingerprint magnets, do not be turned off by this. In fact, I'd say it's more resistant of oily fingers and such than any other ThinkPad I've held, and generally ThinkPad's been pretty good. Okay, now, since it's a hybrid, that means the keyboard separates from the computer. All right, so you really have three components here. You have the computer/tablet, the keyboard, and the pen. So we'll hit each one of these sort of one by one, starting with the least significant. Okay, so the pen. You can use different Lenovo pens or ThinkPad branded pens with this device. This is the one that ships with it if you buy a trim that includes a pen. Now, as far as pricing goes for the whole thing, by the way, you're looking at anywhere from $700 to $3,000. I know that's bananas, but it's because of sales and the variety of trim levels. This model is an i5 with 16 gigs of RAM and a half a terabyte SSD. It includes the pen and the keyboard, and right now it's about $780 on Lenovo's main US website. If you were to pay full retail, it'd be $2,200. That's not a joke. It's about $1,500 off. So it's just the way Lenovo does things, and they don't listen to me for advice, so it is what it is. All right, now the pen works fine. You can do some drawing, take notes, that kind of thing, directly on the tablet, but this is Windows, and this is not a device that I would recommend if you're a heavy note taker by hand. I'm just saying that. Now, if you're into drawing and coloring casually, taking notes casually, sure. Like, it's going to be awesome, right? You got a hybrid machine. But I wouldn't probably make the world's next South Park on this or something like that. Okay, the keyboard now. This is an awesome keyboard. Now, I always liked Microsoft's take on the type cover. I feel like it's a good keyboard. This is probably a little bit better in the sense that you have the integrated fingerprint scanner, which is a nice add-on if you don't get the model that has Windows Hello on it. Also, the keyboard feels really good. It doesn't have as much key travel as a typical ThinkPad, but it retains the same general feeling of a ThinkPad, right? It's got, it takes a little less pressure to actuate the keys. There's not as much travel as I mentioned, but you get the same kind of feel, right? The keys are the same shape. You get backlighting. It's not the strongest, but it'll do. And it's nice and light, also made out of magnesium alloy. There's no Alcantara or anything like that on this. It's just a solid magnesium alloy chassis keyboard, and it's very good. All right, now tour the computer itself. On the right side, we have the volume rocker and an exhaust vent. There's also Kensington lock. Note this right here. This little groove exists on both sides just to help you get the kickstand out. Okay, so we'll do more about that in a moment. Along the top, you have a power button and more exhaust. You'll notice there's a kind of a weird button here next to the camera. That's a think shutter, so you can get privacy if you need it on your camera. Okay, and then on the other side, headphone jack, Thunderbolt, USB-C, and access to your SIM tray if you get a model that actually has a SIM tray. This one's a dud. You can't actually open it up. And then here's another USB-C. They put a little charging status light next to it, which is helpful. And then there's that kickstand I mentioned. So the kickstand allows you to do this and that, and a variety of degrees in between. The cool thing about this is that you can find your comfort level, and then you can just snap the keyboard on, and away you go. If you want, you can prop the keyboard up to give yourself a bit of an angle, and it's not going to save your wrists or anything, but it's going to help a smidge, and that's always good. Okay, now let me fire this sucker up. I know it's dirty and it's got a lot of fingerprints on it. Just back off. Okay, I don't know what happened there. I had to hold the power button down for like 10 seconds, and now it's finally booting up. So the display is very nice. It's just over 1080p. It's a 3:2 aspect ratio, so it's very similar to a Surface. And yeah, this is my typing test from yesterday. But more importantly, let's take a look at the drawing on this. So you'll see that it's pretty responsive. There isn't a ton of lag. I mean, I'd have to slow down the video and do all this fancy stuff I don't know how to do in order to really show you, really demonstrate, how good it is at handwriting. But this is Paint 3D, so it's not like I'm writing on an actual note-taking app, but it's pretty good. I like it. Hey, I just wrote app without even thinking about it. Now, another thing I want to show is how quickly it responds to the Office suite. So a big complaint that I have about the Macs, the M1 Macs, is they're very slow to open Office. Now, I'm not actually signed into OneDrive, So this is going to open faster than it would otherwise, but I think we're talking milliseconds here, not full seconds. So here we go. That's pretty darn good, right? For an i5, 16 gigs of RAM, unplugged, that's pretty good. Now, I would definitely recommend this if you're headed to school and you're looking for a device that's going to last you a few years, that if you want to take handwritten notes, you have the option. If you want to draw or color, you have that option as well. If you're really not into the handwriting portion, I don't think this is the way to go. I think a traditional laptop would be better. In fact, even a ThinkPad Carbon Gen 9 or Gen 8, if you can find one, would be even better for you, and probably around the same price because of the discounts and stuff like that that Lenovo has from time to time. Again, it's a great device. It's solid. You can spec it in a number of different ways. But, you know, oh, I should mention this too. Pricing. The Surface equivalent of this is like $1,200. Okay, so if you're thinking, well, I'll just get a Surface because maybe I don't like something on this, you're going to be paying more. So just a heads up there. Okay, so final thoughts. I like it. I think it's a good device. It's easy to recommend to people, but it's not something I'm going to run out and buy them for myself because I don't teach. Or sorry, I don't learn, I teach. I'm a college professor. Okay, so that's the ThinkPad. Thanks to Carlos in the comments for asking me to review this. I reached out to Lenovo. They sent it over, very kind of them. And there you have it, the X12 Detachable. Cheers, folks.